We like to ask the big questions on Orange and Blue today, talking Denver Broncos with you, Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason. And this one is it's deep, man. Who's the face of the franchise for the Broncos in 2025 and beyond?
That's a good question. I mean, I think you see those two guys there. The one on the left, Sean Payton, the one on the right, Bo Nix. Is it fair to say that the one on the left has been the recent face of the franchise, but the one on the right is becoming the face of the franchise?
Does it happen this year?
Has it started to happen?
And is Sean okay with that? All of that and more on today's program. OBT, BFD, Cease and Mase here to chop it up, baby, because this one is something we need your feedback as well in the comments down below, YouTube. Like, who's the face of the franchise this year and beyond? Let's start with who it's been. It's no question been Sean Payton.
The last
Since
2
the
years,
moment
yes.
he got here, it has been Sean Payton. And let's look around the league. I mean, all due respect to an Andy Reid, but that's Pat Mahomes.
Yes.
All due respect to a Zach Taylor, but that's a Joe Burrow. Sean McDermott, maybe less respect to, but that's a Josh Allen. So while it was Sean Payton, and it kind of had to be, Mace, don't we need to see this transition to the guy?
But I would also say this. You ask if Sean Payton's okay with it. Who was the face of the franchise in New Orleans for most of his time there?
Drew Brees.
Exactly. So I think he'd be okay with it here. The face of the franchise being the quarterback means you're probably winning a lot of games because that means you have a quarterback who's worthy of that role. Because with all due respect to these people as individuals, once Peyton Manning retired from here, none of those quarterbacks were the face of the franchise, the quarterbacks that followed him. It wasn't Trevor Siemian. Paxton Lynch did not do enough to become the face of the franchise. Case Keenum wasn't the face of the franchise. Joe Flacco wasn't the face of the franchise. Drew Lock did not do enough to become the face of the franchise, nor did Teddy Bridgewater. Russell Wilson was the face of the franchise for a brief moment, was he not?
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the moment he arrived, he was the face of the franchise. But then Sean Payton came in, and Sean Payton became the face of the franchise at that moment. He basically seized it from Russell Wilson. Period. Seized it by force. He didn't want Russell Wilson to be the face of the franchise. Like, if I'm the coach, Russell Wilson's not going to be the face of the franchise. He didn't say those words, but by actions, yes. You know, Russ, you're not having an office anymore. Team Russ, no longer in the building. Made that clear right there, right after the first press conference. That party was over.
He probably made that clear in the interview process with Greg Penner, you know, of like, hey, I'm going to come in and do this, and that's the way it's going to be. Yes. So you have to sign off for this. Sean Payton's not going to change. He's going to be Sean Payton. So when you sign up for Sean Payton, you're going to know he's going to find his guys, and it might be a little painful. Even on your pocketbook with the dead money for Wilson, it was painful.
Yes. Here's the interesting thing as I think about this, and this just kind of hit me as we were having this discussion. For Sean Payton to succeed as Broncos coach, Bo Nix has to become the face of the franchise. For Sean Payton to become a Hall of Famer as he wants to be, he may not talk about it, but you and I said this when the Broncos drafted drafted Bo Nix. When Sean Payton drafted Bo Nix and people wondered about it, you and I sat here and said, look, he is betting his legacy on Bo Nix because he's probably not coaching anywhere else in the NFL. If Sean Payton's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, he's got to at least get to a Super Bowl in Denver. And getting to a Super Bowl requires Bo Nix being successful. Because if Bo Nix does not succeed, Sean Payton probably does not stick around as Broncos coach long enough to have another quarterback bite at the apple. They're probably moving on to another regime. So for Sean Payton to get everything individually that he would want, legacy-wise, out of being the head coach of the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix has to succeed to a point where he truly is the face of the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, does he want that? Like, if you gave him the truth serum, absolutely, 100%. Bo Nix becoming the face of the Denver Broncos, which I would say at minimum has already started to happen.
Yes.
Is a sign that this is working and a sign that he nailed it. For all the moaning about, oh, QB6 at pick number 12. How can you pick the 6th quarterback with the 12th pick? What are you doing? And he picked the right quarterback for him, the right quarterback for the scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting here after just 1 year and they've already returned to the playoffs. And the progress is continuing apace. And Bo Nix is much more settled, comfortable. It's becoming his team, not just in terms of how he's guiding the offense, how he's welcoming players to the building. It's his show. He's the one welcoming Evan Engram, having lunch with him as he's getting settled in. He's the one texting all the draft picks, giving them the first welcome to the Denver Broncos. Like, he's doing the things that team leaders do, the things that you do when it is your team, when you are the face of the franchise. So, yeah, I mean, it's becoming his team. He's becoming the face of the franchise, and we may be sitting here by maybe October the 1st saying, yeah, Bo Nix is firmly the face of the franchise, and that's it. And it's funny that we say this when this team has a defensive player of the year, a reigning defensive player of the year, but it's also the nature of defensive players. Even though you could say Von Miller was as Super Bowl MVP, Von Miller was the face of the franchise for a while. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But also for Pat Surtain, he was kind of caught in a moment where they had a famous quarterback in Russell Wilson, who was the face. And then as Surtain was emerging as an all-pro, Sean Payton arrives. And Sean Payton very much was the face of the franchise the last 2 years.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And think of what you have said on this show of this was Sean Payton's plan. This was his plan. And think of because we talk about a lot about Sean Payton's ego, because he's got an ego. A head coach like that's going to have an ego. We talk about quarterbacks with athletic arrogance because quarterbacks have to have athletic arrogance. And Bo Nix has that. I think when was the moment Sean knew it was okay? I think we know the moment, but let's discuss that. Because Sean had a plan. I'm going to get rid of this guy. He found through his system his guy, which was Bo Nix. And then the plan is one day to pass the baton, to hand the reins over.
Yeah.
What moment was Sean okay or knew that he was on the right track in passing said baton?
Well, Sean had the intellectual arrogance in believing in his system that he spoke of at the combine.
We're better at this than other teams.
We think we're going to be better at this than other teams.
Oh, boy.
He called his shot before they'd had the big day with Bo. They had that big day with Bo 3 weeks later. He called his shot up there at the podium. I mean, whoa. You think about that for a moment.
It's a Babe Ruth call.
Yes. I mean, I think they had confidence and they knew they had something special after they worked him out. But I think you're talking about when you kind of knew that he was the guy. I think we're talking about the Raider game, right? When he barked back there. And the fact that Bo Nix went out there right after that and carved up the Raiders, played the best ball that he had played to that point in his career. That was another thing. It wasn't just that he played well. It was that he played lights out ball right after that.
Yep.
That wasn't a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I recognized in that, because Sean Payton is very much this generation's Bill Parcells, and it's very appropriate that he is a former Parcells assistant, because there are a lot of echoes of Parcells in him. Now, Parcells, a defensive background, and Sean Payton, an offensive background, but there's the psychological styles, the way that they work with players, the way players respond to them, the way they adapt their teaching to the individual players' needs. Like they don't have a one size fits all approach. They know which players need the kick in the butt, and they know which players need the pat on the shoulder. They're both exceptional at that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I recognized in that confrontation was Bill Parcells with Phil Simms back in the day. I saw that and I found myself thinking of Parcells yelling at Simms like, "Shut the bleep up. I'll bleep and play, you bleep and coach." And then Simms giving it back to him.
Right.
And they worked so well together. I mean, they won a couple of Super Bowls together. I know Jeff Hostetler was the quarterback in Super Bowl 25, but Simms was the starter for most of that season. I mean, they accomplished great things together. And it wasn't that Phil Simms was necessarily the most talented quarterback, but those guys, they went through the fire together. It was attitude, it was presence, it was leadership, it was demeanor. They got each other. And Parcells wanted that quarterback who had that same kind of competitive fire and spirit. It wasn't just about throwing the football, wasn't just about learning the offense. It was about competitiveness, and it was about kind of standing up, not like we saw Russell Wilson in Detroit in 2023 when Sean Payton was upset and he just stood there like a deer in headlights, or just stood there in his like whole neutral mindset.
Right.
Like just blank, right? He just looked blank. Bo fought back. Bo came back at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A competitive son of a gun. That's what Sean Payton wanted. And then, I mean, that slide that we had at the beginning of the show, that's not too long after that. That's like what? That's later that month, right? That's after the
3 weeks
New
later.
Orleans game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's the competition. It's the heat of the moment that they're at each other. It doesn't mean that they hate each other, but they're competitive people in a game of passion, right? It's okay. That's the thing. It's not a big deal to me when I see people yelling on the sideline, right? I mean, they're not pushing each other. I mean, that like, the difference between like what happened in the Rams game on Christmas Day in 2022 and what went on in the sideline in the Raiders game in 2024. They're not the same thing.
No, not at all.
What we saw in the Raiders game in 2024 is just a couple of highly competitive people that want the same thing and they have the same goal, and they are kind of pushing each other a little bit. And that day they accomplished something terrific. But yeah, that's what Payton wanted. I mean, you imagine like after that day, like just him smiling to himself, like, I got my guy.
Yeah. And he knows it.
I got the guy that I can trust. That's the other thing. I can just speak for myself personally. I trust somebody when I've seen kind of that side of them. That you've seen, like the raw emotion, that's not just like surface level fake. I trust the authenticity there, right? Yeah. So I see that, and I trust that. That's real. Bo's authentic. That's the thing. Bo is authentic. I mean, you can draw your conclusion from that statement. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like in the locker room, Bo is authentic.
And people respond to authentic because they know it's real, and they know they can trust it because they themselves feel similar emotions.
Right.
They're competitors. Very few people are never had a bad day in my life. No. You've had a bad day.
Yes, you've had a bad day. And it's okay to let people see you bleed, right? I mean, it's all right. Like it's humanizing.
Yes.
And this is another thing. Face of the franchise. The face of the franchise is authentic. The face of the franchise is sometimes going to be picking grass from out of his face mask, out of his helmet. The face of the franchise is sometimes going to hurt. And we're going to see that on him, and I think that's okay.
He's going to need your help sometimes.
Yeah.
And think of the past quarterbacks of this franchise that have been faces of the franchise. Now, rules are different. Your quarterback, you're going to be treated differently. But when I say one of the fellas, Peyton Manning was megastar, supreme Hall of Famer, and he still acted like one of the fellas.
He'd go down to JD's bait shop with the guys after practice and all that, and go over the playbook and hang out for a bit John Elway was one of the fellas. I mean, there are lots of stories at training camp up in Greeley of him and the guys going over to the Smiling Moose. Yep.
Is that place still open?
No, it's long gone.
Oh, that sucks.
Long gone, sadly.
And that was John Elway.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I got one training camp in Greeley, that I got to experience the last Greeley training camp.
My first credentialed training camp was 2004.
Yeah.
The new place.
Yeah. I was telling somebody recently that I really got kind of the last glimpses of the way things were, and I'm so thankful that I did. Before things really kind of got corporate and shiny and more distant. I got sort of the last moments of things being kind of earthy. It was fun.
Crunchy.
Good times.
Stinky up there in Greeley too.
Oh, I can remember that smell.
It smells like home to me. So actually,
when you were downwind from the slaughterhouses. Yeah.
Different type of smell.
Oh boy. Yeah. And it was hot. It's 90 degrees and you're downwind and you're watching practice. Oh boy.
Looking forward to those cold beers of the Smiling Moose.
And bear in mind, this was my first experience in Colorado. I was new. I had just moved out there. I didn't know what that smell was. That was my first experience with it. I was like, whoa.
Does all of Colorado smell like this?
Yeah. Like, oh boy. I was assured, no, all of Colorado does not smell like this. It's not always like this. You're going to be okay. But boy, I was like, oh man. Whew. Yeah. It wasn't like that every day. I can say it's not, Greeley does not smell like that all the time. But boy, the days that it did, whew. I think the people of Greeley got sick of all the local newscasters and whatnot making the jokes about stinky Greeley every night on the news, right? Yeah.
Right. We got to talk about another guy that was one of the fellas, and we both have a great appreciation. I appreciate him now more when he's not playing than when he was, because I was the Jay Cutler guy, but we got to talk about Jake Plummer too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the dude, he's a dude. He was driving a Honda Element, he's just one of the guys.
driving a Honda Element, but here's the thing. Think of how many guys blew through their cash that they made. And people made fun of him for it. And I'm like, why are you making fun of him? This guy, 20 years from now, he's going to be living the life because he's saving his money and he's driving a Honda Element right now when he's playing. And you know what? 20 years later, he's living the life.
He is living the life.
Yeah, because he saved his money.
But he was the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
That embraced it. You don't have to be told this. It's not like, now am I face of the franchise? You just are. You just have that within you. And that's where Bo has that within him, where it's not like, now's your time, Bo, you better do this and this. It's just who he is, and it's natural.
Bingo. That's the word. It comes naturally. He just shows up and does it. It's who he is. And you and I have talked about this. He came in last year and he had the proper respect for his teammates. He didn't come in and own the locker room. He knew his place as a rookie. And certainly he had a quarterback's presence, no doubt, but he also did all the things that rookies do, carrying the pads and so forth. So you do that and you earn the respect of the veterans around you. And then as the season goes on and you end up as the quarterback, you end up calling the plays, leading the offense. You see what kind of person you are. Bit by bit, all the things come together and the respect becomes earned, to where by the time it's a sun-splashed November day in Kansas City and the crowd is going crazy and you are making the completions and you're steadying everybody in the huddle and bit by bit you're leading the offense downfield. Oh, not for that blocked field goal, man. That should have been the day. That should have been the day.
Right.
But Bo did the things that you had to do. Like Bo did his job. The offense did his job like that. And it actually says a lot about Bo Nix and the entire team that moment, the wake of that moment didn't crater them. A lot of teams would have folded after that. You know what they did 7 days later? They played their best game of the season. Think about that.
Yep.
That the most crushing loss this team has had in a long time, because there have been losses, but that loss meant something. That was a high leverage moment. Probably the most crushing loss this team has had really in what? A decade? Probably since that Baltimore playoff game, right? I would say. Yeah. And it's a young team, so you might say a young team that maybe has a little bit of fragility, perhaps, and they come out there 7 days later against an Atlanta team that had some momentum and just dropped the hammer on those guys. The best total all-around game the Broncos had played in a long time. And Bo was flawless in that game. That's another thing. He was flawless. He led the team to a flawless game when it came out of what could have been an emotional canyon. And that says a lot too. That's another way you become the face of a franchise. You guide it out of that sort of moment. And oh, by the way, you don't point fingers. That's the other thing. Nobody pointed a finger at the protection breaking down. Nobody did. Alex Forsythe, they all had his back. And certainly Bo had a lot to do with that, but the whole team did. Like, they just naturally had his back. And that starts with leadership. Starts with good leadership. And starts with the faces of the franchise. Sean Payton. And now it's becoming Bo Nix. Whichever one you believe is the face of the franchise, before, current, now, this team is in pretty dadgum good hands.
Feels good.
Yes. It's good to be talking about this. It's, man, nice this has been a fun off season to have just a completely different mood about things than we've had over the years. Instead of talking about like hope, maybe this, that, we're actually talking about something tangible, like this team coming off a playoff appearance, something that we can actually wrap our arms around instead of just, oh, maybe, possibly, if this, that, or the other. No, there's something real that happened. They got to the postseason. Yeah, they didn't win, but they got to the postseason. They took that step. They took that very real step. And now take the next step. Go forward. Build off that. It's going to be an exciting season, I think.
They got their quarterback. And Mase, we're not going to be right on every player. That's just the nature of the business. We're going to be as thorough as we possibly can be. But no longer are we being told to calm down about some rookie named Bo Nix. You know, it's like people have seen it now. And the national narrative is changing on Bo Nix. So it feels good to have this confidence of the Broncos are back to being who they normally have been.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Long, strange trip.
Normal had changed, but now normal is going back to what it once was, when this was a proud franchise that was feared and respected. It's been a long wait. It's good to cover some fine football again.
Started them at the bottom, but we're here.
Yes.
And we're here with you all on YouTube. We appreciate your audience and helping to grow our Denver Sports YouTube channel and certainly grow the audience on this show, which is available audio-wise via podcast, however you enjoy your podcast, Spotify, or listen on our website or on our Denver Sports app. We certainly appreciate everyone out there because it means so much to us to have you as an audience and to have the growth and, you know, the support from people out there on YouTube. But Mase, what's the best way people can support us on YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never miss
a vid. That's right. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mase Denver. I'm Mase Cecil, saying OBTs to BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?